Hey everybody, and welcome to a special bonus video. Today's video is extra special because it is to announce the re-release of LED bags from 143vinyl.com. I'll link these bags below, but make sure you use my coupon code GET5 to save another 5% off of your purchase. These bags are super fun and they have improved from last year. They now have lights around all four sides of them. They have a much stronger, better seaming, and the charging is so much easier than last year. I'm going to show you guys a nice up-close view of the charger and how to put it together. Today we're going to use a printable vinyl from StarCraft for your inkjet printers to make this adorable bag. It's really easy to do and a lot of fun, and you can be super creative with it. We're going to use the design from Creative Fabrica. I have a code over there to save you 30% on your membership. I have their membership and I absolutely love it. The code is CORINNE30, CORINNE 30. So let's get started. I'm going to show you guys how to charge this before we get started. That way you can charge it while you're designing. To charge your LED bag, it's really important that you make sure that your charger is in the correct way. This is the part that is attached to your LED bag, and you can see that it has a slight shape to it. This is the charger that you get with it, and you can see that it also has a slight shape to it. You want to make sure that your shapes match up. So the taller part at the top by the button to turn the bag on, and the taller part on the plug. Now you do need to press pretty firmly to get them in. Make sure that it is well seated in there. You can see it's nice and tight. If you try to put it in the wrong way, it's not going to charge. And I totally just turned my bag on doing that. But if you put it in the wrong way, it's not going to charge. One other quick way you can tell, and I don't know if you guys will see this on camera because it probably won't focus being so zoomed in. This side doesn't have a logo, and this side has the little USB charger logo. The USB charger logo should go on the opposite side of the button, so the logo goes down. If the logo's up, this is wrong. This way is not right. This is the correct way. Logo down, button up. And just make sure that it's well seated in there. And then this part can go into any USB plug, any USB block, and you can simply charge it. It charges for 4 hours, and it will be red while it's charging, and when it's done charging, it will turn green. So today we're going to use a printable design from Creative Fabrica. I will link this down below, and remember, if you have a membership, you can use the code CORINNE30, CORINNE 30 to get 30% off of your membership. So what we're going to do is upload an image, and this one is a little bit funny, but I'm going to show you how you can work with this. It's really easy. So click upload, then click upload image. You're going to browse and find the image wherever you saved it on your computer. So in my case, I save it in my Halloween folder, and it's called Halloween 6. And we're going to load the JPG file for this because there's not an SVG version. Go ahead and load that. Now it looks a little funky and a little tough to work with, but I promise this is super easy. So we want to keep this colored version and not these black and white ones. So click complex and click continue. And it's going to take you to the cleanup screen that you're used to. Click on advanced options and change your color tolerance to 100. And then click on this orange part. It's going to get rid of everything there. And then what I'm going to do is zoom out because I'm just going to crop her out because we don't need these guys. And rather than coming over here and trying to click to get rid of them, you're going to have a much easier time if you just use the little cropping tool, which is this one that kind of looks like the open box. So go ahead and click on that, and we're just going to make sure that we cover her whole entire self with our cropping tool, and then you'll see that she's what we have left, and that's all we need for this project. Go ahead and click on continue, and it's going to give us the option to save as a print then cut image or save as a cut image. We want to save her as a print then cut image, so click save. Now, she is pretty large, so it may take a moment for her to save. That's just the nature with print then cut. It has a lot more information for Design Space to handle. So what we'll do is go ahead and select her, and we're going to insert the image. And again, it may take a second, and she's way too big. You're going to get this little orange caution sign, and if you click on that, it's going to tell you the dimensions, and I actually had them backwards. I do this all the time. So it's 6.75 by 9.25. So I'm going to go ahead and change this back to 6.75 then. That's as large as we can go with her, but that should be plenty big for our bag. We're going to add some text to our little girl here. So we're going to just do the word happy. And I will say Design Space has been having some funky things going on with the curve. So if for some reason your curve isn't highlighted, just retype your font and then come back to it and it should work just fine. I had to retype this twice to get it to allow me to bring up my curve, but I definitely got it eventually. So we're going to use happy, and if for you guys asking, this is the Craftaholic font, and I'll link this below. It's a really cute font. So we're just going to open up the curve feature, and I just want to curve it a little bit around her, just so it's kind of like that. I think that's cute. And then we'll do the text of Halloween. Now for this one, I'm going to slide this down a little bit so I can see better. I'm going to have to make that bigger, but because I'm not sure how big I need to make it, I'm going to like leave it small for now. Because I don't want to make it huge and then have to size it right back down, but I also don't want to make it too tiny. Now with this one, I'm going to move the letters a little bit closer, so I'm just going to use the letter spacing right here, and it's going to move our letters a little closer together. What that does is it allows me to fit more into a smaller space, and it's just going to look a little bit nicer when we go to curve it. And I think I might have curved it a little too far that time. Actually, that's pretty good. I think that works. I think that's like exactly how I want it. That is perfect. So this is what our little bag is going to have on it. Now, we are going to work on just spacing everything on the bag itself. I don't want to attach anything because our Happy and Halloween are going to be cut in vinyl and our little girl is going to be printed on our printer. So what we'll do is click Make It, and I'll show you the two different things that you're going to have. So you have your print then cut screen and then your vinyl screen. We're going to start with our print then cut screen. So go ahead and click Continue, and it's going to bring up this. So it's going to ask you to send it to the printer. It's very important that you print your item through CRICUT Design Space if you want the CRICUT to cut it out, because it needs to have that black box around it in order to know where it's going to cut. So I'm going to click Send to Printer. And I'm going to leave the bleed on. The bleed helps make sure there's no white around your design. And then we are going to turn on this system dialog. That system dialog is going to help when it comes to making sure that you get a good quality print. Anytime you're going to do a print then cut, you want to make sure you set your print to high quality. So click Print, and it may take a second, but it will bring up your dialog box. Keep in mind, if you don't see it, check behind your program because it may pop up under something else. Mine does sometimes, but typically it'll pop up right in front of it, just like this. So make sure that your printer that you're using is selected, and then what you're going to do is click on Preferences. Once you've clicked Preferences, it'll bring up this Printing Preferences menu, and what you need to do is change your printer quality to high. Now, for my printer, it's weird, and if I change the paper, it doesn't typically like to print. So you may want to play around with it a little bit with smaller images and some regular paper until you figure out the best settings for your printer, but this works really, really well on my printer. So then when you have done this, you can hit OK, and then you will hit print right here when you're ready to print. I'm going to show you how to load your StarCraft printables into your printer. We are using StarCraft printable inkjet printer vinyl. So one thing you'll note is that this one has a blue logo on the back. This is the back of your paper, and it tells you exactly what it is. It says that it's inkjet printable matte adhesive vinyl. So this is what we're going to use. It's important to know which way your printer prints and which way to load your paper. For me, you load the side you want printed on out, and just adjust that a little bit, and we'll go back over to the machine and hit print. Once you've hit print on your machine, it should start printing on your actual printer. So I do find that the rear feed works best as far as some of the thicker materials. I have used a bunch of different printers, and so far this one has been my favorite. I really like it. It's a Canon Pixma MG3022. They no longer make this exact model, but all the Canon Pixmas that I have tried have worked really, really well, and I'm really happy with the product. It's a great inexpensive inkjet printer. It's great if you're not printing a ton of stuff. If you're somebody who's going to print a lot for a business, I would get something like an Epson, but for just a home printing once in a while, this is a great product, and it works really, really well. So as you can see, it's printing out our girl. Now this is a pretty decent sized print, so it may take a moment or two for it to come out. And you can see the black box around the sides here. This is, again, really important that you have this black box. That's how Cricut knows where to cut on your design so that it will cut around your image. If you're using this from another program, you won't have the very important black box. So here is our girl all printed. She's so cute, and she looks really great with that higher print quality. So I'm going to show you guys how to put the UV laminate on top of this and how to cut her out. The next thing we need to do with our printable is add our UV laminate. This is super important because it helps protect your design. Plus, it makes it look really nice because it is glossy. So what I'm going to do is turn her upside down. And then I'm going to take my UV laminate. And normally I would cut this to fit, but because she's so large, she pretty much takes up a whole sheet anyways. So we'll just use the whole sheet and maybe cut off the bottom. So I take my pin pen. And I'm going to flip my UV laminate over. Your UV laminate is going to have this gray logo on the back, and it'll tell you if it's glossy or matte. I use the glossy. I prefer it, but you can absolutely get this in matte as well. And all I'm going to do is peel this off, and I didn't need my pin pen. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So what I'm going to do is just peel the very edge, the top edge here. Just enough to have a little bit of the laminate, and I'm going to fold back the backing. So you'll see there's the UV laminate. I'm just going to fold back the backing. That way I just have this little UV laminate tab. I'm going to take the UV laminate and I'm going to lay it on top of my sheet. I'm going to try to get it fairly straight because you want to make sure that it's going to cover your design. And I'm just going to press this down. Now, as I'm going down, I'm using my squeegee here to keep any bubbles from forming because you don't want any bubbles on your design. So I'm just taking my squeegee very, very gently and running it along the edge as I am pressing because it's pressing down the UV laminate. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but the laminate is moving down as I'm pressing down my squeegee. And this is just keeping any bubbles off of her because you don't want any bubbles in your UV laminate. This is a really, really easy thing to do. It just takes a little bit of practice. But I'm pressing pretty firmly because I want to make sure that I have a nice, good adhesion and no bubbles. So I'm using quite a bit of pressure. Now I'm going to push over here a little bit more just because we're getting a little further on one side than we are on the other. And like I said, just try to keep it fairly even. And you can see how beautiful she's coming out. She's so vibrant. And this really helps bring out the color, adding this laminate. And it really is going to protect her from any scratching or things like that. Plus, she'll be great for years to come. So we're just going to keep pressing down. This process does take a few minutes, but it's totally worth it. So I'm just going to keep going all the way down. And this part's going to be a little harder for you guys to see because it's going to curl up on itself a little bit. But you just want to press it down really, really well. Like I said, I'm going to try to stop when I get to her feet and cut it off, but if not, it's okay if I have a little left over. Not the end of the world. I don't use the printable a ton, so having the laminate, perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just set that like that. I'm going to go ahead and grab a pair of scissors, and I'm just going to cut the laminate off because this little piece could actually be super helpful later, and you can actually use this laminate over other things too. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim this off. Okay, once you've done that, you can just pull the rest of your laminate off and press down the rest of it with your finger. So she is all laminated and glossy. See how glossy? So pretty. So now what we'll do is we're going to get our maker. I'm going to show you guys how to cut this out because you do need to cut this special with the laminate on top of it. I'm going to show you guys how to cut this out. We're going to apply it, and then we're also going to use this really beautiful StarCraft magic to make our Happy Halloween. So our machine is ready to be loaded. So all I've done is put my printable on a light cardstock mat. I'm going to go ahead and load it into our machine. And I'm going to do this so you guys can see the sensor reading everything, because this is a really cool thing that your Cricut can do. The Cricut Maker and the Explorers can do this. The Joy cannot. So go ahead and click the go button. And what you'll see is a little light turn on kind of in the center of the cradle. And I'll get you guys a little bit closer so you guys can see that. Do you guys see the light? Let me turn off the ring light. Maybe you guys can see that a little bit better. It's kind of hard to see. There you go. You see that light? That's how it's reading all of our sensor lines. So it's going to go over a couple different spots to make sure that it knows exactly where it's supposed to cut. If you're having trouble with your lines reading, you can cover anything glossy with some Scotch tape. Also keep in mind that sometimes some of the darker paper doesn't work. And also what you can do is turn off some lights in your room. So like with my ring light, it might have been a little too bright for it, so it's probably good I turned it off. But now what it's going to do is it's going to get ready and cut around our design. With the laminate on this product, it's super important that you do a double cut. So when it's done cutting, don't unload it, just hit the go button again. It will reread the lines and then it will recut your lines. I forgot to add that into the video, so make sure you do that. Now we have to change our material to print our vinyl. So I'm going to go ahead and just click where it says light cardstock. And I'm going to change this to vinyl. Now for mine, I find it works best on more pressure for the StarCraft Magic and the Hoax Hollow and all of that. But again, test cuts. So let's go over to the machine. You guys can see this cut. Now we get to cut the vinyl. So I'll let you guys watch this cut. This is just the StarCraft holographic metal, and it's one of my favorites. It's so pretty. I think this is one of the illusions. I'll link this one directly below. I just think this will be really pretty, add a little bit of sparkle. So I'll let you guys watch this cut. So for me personally, I find it a lot easier to put something inside the bag, just on the one side. That way you have a solid surface versus trying to work on like the little edges of the bag, because it does fold in on itself. But this just gives you a little bit flatter surface to work on. And I just thought it was easier because it gives it more solid space. Last year we had a lot of people having trouble with bubbles and things. So putting something solid inside the bag where you're working can be super helpful to help control your bubbles. So we have all of our pieces ready to go, and then our little girl. So you kind of have to figure out what way is going to work best for you as far as how you want to lay this out. I am personally going to tuck these under my machine, which is right under off screen here. The handles can sometimes get in the way, so just make sure you have those tucked out of the way. And I think I'm going to start with the Happy, because I'm going to line that up way up here at the top, and then I'll probably do the Halloween next. So I'm just using medium tack transfer tape. This is my favorite tape. You guys always ask what kind I use when I do projects, and this is medium tack. I'll link this directly below for you guys, but it is one of my favorite products. So I'm just going to place my decal. Right there is pretty good. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut my decal out here of my transfer tape. Now this part you're going to want to get a squeegee. You're going to want to make sure that you have burnished this to the transfer tape pretty quickly and well. Now when you make these bags, I highly recommend not using any kind of contact paper as your transfer tape, because it will leave a sticky residue. This bag is made of plastic, so it's just something to keep in mind. Use a quality transfer tape, not contact paper from the Dollar Tree. So I've just peeled this off, and all we're going to do is find where the middle of the bag is, which actually this paper pack makes it super easy to find the center, which I kind of love. And I'm just going to place this right below that stitching on the bag. And I'm just going to go ahead and burnish this down. And then I'm going to peel my transfer tape up You just got to find a corner and pull that up. Now you'll notice that your transfer tape feels really well stuck to the bag, and don't worry, that's okay. It's because the bag is plastic and things love to stick to plastic, but as long as you're using a good transfer tape, not contact paper from the Dollar Tree, you will have no problems using this. So then I just make sure that that looks really good, and then we're going to go ahead and do the Halloween. I'm going to use the same piece of transfer tape that I just used. That can actually help a lot with the stickiness as well as your transfer tape by reusing it a couple times on these bags. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I burnished this down. I flip it over and I peel off the backing just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and do the center on this one, which again, pretty easy to see because of the design that I picked. So I just want to make sure that this sits as low as humanly possible on our bag because of the girl, because I made her pretty big because I really wanted her to show up and look really, really cute. So we're going to go ahead and peel this. Again, transfer tape is kind of sticky, but that's okay. That's what we want. So there is that. Perfect. So that part is done and super easy. So now it's time to do our girl. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the bottom of this just to make it a little easier for myself. And I'm going to do a little bit of just trimming around her so that I have a little bit less to contend with when I pull this off. So I do mine in kind of a different way to help keep bubbles from appearing. So what I'm going to do is, instead of peeling the sticker portion off, I'm going to peel the back off of our design. So this is all the stuff you don't put on the bag, and then you're left with just the girl. So we're going to go ahead and start with her up here at the top. So what I'm going to do is turn my bag around because I think it's a little easier for me to see this way. And you can kind of play with it. Once you've done a few of these, you'll figure out the best way for you to do them. And all I'm going to do is fold her down a little bit. So I'm just going to pull this backing off just a little. Just enough that I have about an inch or so to work with to stick her down and figure out where I need her to sit under the word happy. Oops, and I got that stuck a little too soon. Because I need her little bat. That looks good. I just wanted her just under the happy. And she may not be 100% straight, but that's okay because you're going to fill this thing full of candy and other goodies. Nobody's going to notice. So what I'm going to do is burnish this part down. And then just like how I did the laminate that we put on her, and she's going to fold up a little bit, we are going to just take the squeegee and kind of run it down her body. This is where that UV laminate also is going to come in handy because this makes it easier for the squeegee to roll on it. Also, it keeps it from getting scratched from your squeegee because you can scratch the ink that you've printed on this. So now we're getting to this little back guy, and I just want to make sure that he comes off really nicely. So again, we're just running our squeegee just down her body. Currently we're on her face. Now I have a feeling that I'm going to end up covering up a little bit of the word Halloween, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. Her cape's just a little bit big, but that's okay. We could have done a slightly better job lining this up. If it really bothers you, you can always peel it off and go for it again, but you don't have to. Nobody will really notice. You can still tell that it says Happy Halloween. So here she is, all finished. I turned off as many lights as I could, and I will try to get you guys a view of this in the complete dark. But what I love about this bag are the LED lights. So it comes with a little button that you can press, and it has a ton of different light options. Just a few things to note with these bags while we're watching through the colors. It has 7 color modes, which is so fun. You can do solid lights, comes in a bunch of different colors. You can do a flashing white light. You can cycle through the colors quickly, cycle through the colors slower, or it does this really cool where it cycles through the colors and then it does a flashing color and then it cycles back through the colors. It's really, really fun bag. It's super durable. This can hold a ton of weight. The team at 143 Vinyl has tested that with a ton of candy and it holds up perfectly. These are super duper durable. Again, you can only use adhesive vinyl with these. Any adhesive vinyl product should work just fine. Make sure that you're using a good quality transfer tape, not contact paper. If you use contact paper, it tends to leave that sticky residue and ruin your bag. These come with a charger, which is just a micro USB cord that is included, and it charges for about 4 to 5 hours, and it should blink red to show that it's charging, and when it's fully charged, the bag will light up green all the way around to show that it is charged. Now, these are different than last year's bags. Last year's bags lights only went around the 3 sides. This goes around all 4 sides on one side of the bag. So make sure that when you decorate this, that you are using the side of the bag that has the lights on it. This side does not have lights. You can see the white, and then this side has the lights. So that's something to keep in mind when you're going to decorate these bags, is make sure you use the side that has the lights on it. Super duper important, because otherwise you're going to have kind of a weird look with the lights on the back. I absolutely love these. I hope you guys had so much fun learning how to make these LED bags with printable vinyl. I have links for all the products used in the description down below, as well as a link for the image of the little girl for you guys. Don't forget to use my code Corinne30 on Creative Fabrica to save 30% on your membership. That is good for the lifetime of your membership. And don't forget to use my code GET5 at 143 Vinyl in the links down below to save 5% on your orders. If you have any questions, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Have a great day and happy crafting.